Healthy Rebel Radio is sponsored by the Healthy Rebel app. 300 plus secretly healthy, delicious, mouth-watering dessert and treat recipes made with all-natural, whole food ingredients. Now available for download on the App Store and Google Play. Find out more details at healthyrebel.com.
Welcome to Healthy Rebel Radio. I'm your host, Dr. David Deiser. I'm here with my Damien Health Healthy Rebel co-founder, Amy Lane. Good morning.
Good morning.
Just a few quick health and wellness stories to review today. The first one we're starting with is a Tylenol study out of Ohio State University. Mm-hmm. Really interesting study because they were looking at, obviously Tylenol kills pain. It's acetaminophen, paracetamol, same name. It's Tylenol. It's also, acetaminophen is also in 600 medications. It's not just Tylenol. What they were looking at the study is, if it's reducing your pain, is it also reducing your empathy for others' pain? And it is.
No way.
Yeah. Shocking. And it was a good study. I mean, they did it a few different ways, a few different types of study within the same study to assess the group of people taking the acetaminophen versus people who were taking sham pills or placebos, and seeing how they felt about other people's pain in different scenarios. And the Tylenol group perceived their pain as being less. They had lower empathy.
It's interesting because I know someone that takes it regularly and has a lack of empathy for others.
Yeah.
But that is an actual personality trait of someone I do know. I wonder if it's correlated. There's
something like 23 million people in North America or something taking acetaminophen every single day. And, we start to wonder why it feels like empathy has gone down, or it feels like people are just less caring, or what is it? Well, it could be this. And it was interesting because the reason they were doing this is because of a 2004 study where they found that when you experience pain, if you were doing like a brain scan at the time, it would show up in a certain region of the brain. If you watched someone experiencing the same pain, like the same type of pain, your brain would also show up that same area. So like empathy in your own brain for that person feeling that exact type of pain would flare up, would light up that same area of the brain as if you were hurt. So wait a minute here, does empathy have something to do with these pain signals? Are we processing it very similarly, even though we're not feeling any physical symptoms? Well, it turns out maybe we are, and maybe acetaminophen has an action on that pathway. Now they're going to try ibuprofen next. Because a lot of people are taking ibuprofen. So yeah, it's really interesting because acetaminophen is a widespread, just widely used. You'd be surprised.
Yeah, I'm always surprised.
So we'll see. And who knows if other drugs aren't causing low empathy. And how much value should we be putting on empathy, and how much value we should, you know what I mean? If we're going to be prescribing so many medications, especially in mild conditions where they may not be needed.
Chronic conditions. Where people end up on this stuff for 20, 40, 50 years, which is just so wild to think about.
It really is, especially when we have things now like if you're dealing with an inflammatory condition, we use curcumin and fish oil. If you're dealing with a straight pain condition with no inflammation, you can have success with boswellia, devil's claw, Jamaican dogwood, all these herbs that can be either used in pain reduction or in as anti-inflammatories with potentially not the same side effects. Potentially. Especially on the curcumin fish oil side.
Interesting.
Yeah, really interesting. The second study this morning is about obesity in children. We had a significant rise in obesity among Canadian children from 1978 to 2004, from something like 14 or 17% all the way up to 34%. Well, the new studies out of Manitoba are showing that the rate is going down, finally.
In Canada?
In Canada, yes. So we've got 27% of our kids are either overweight or obese, which is down from 30 in the last 4 or 5 years or something. So it's trending down. It's slow. It's slower than the climb was.
I just would like to know more information. Or have we accepted a larger number because people have been obese for, like, you know what I mean? You know, the scales, like, I don't know.
I feel like we're still using the same measurements. It's still BMI. The BMI window of overweight and obesity. Mm. But what we're seeing finally is a downward trend, because it's only 3% in the last 6 years or so. But
down is down.
Down is down, and I feel like there is a consciousness around wellness in our country that is picking up.
Sometimes I feel like it's because of where we live.
You think that we're just in it?
We're in a bubble.
We're in a bubble. There's a lot of kids in the neighborhood. That's a good thing.
Yeah, and you do not see obese children here.
No. Probably taking the percentages in a good direction. That's the thing when you do these population studies of a country. Our country is very different.
Yeah, that's the thing about Canada. That if, for all our American or UK or Australia listeners, you could go to one part of Canada and have an impression of what Canada is, and then go to the another part of Canada, and it's just completely different. The dialect, the lifestyle, you know, right from the homes to the actual landscape. It's drastically different. You know, we have prairies, we have the Rocky Mountains, we have Nova Scotia, which is very much like Scotland, Ireland type vibe. Like, it's just, it ranges so dramatically. It's so interesting.
True. It's true. And we have the north as well. I mean, we have swampland, and we have
everything in between.
In our city here, we don't get snow in our city, but then, an hour north, we have the greatest hills in North America, ski hills.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's pretty crazy. But then also on the lifestyle side of things, there's major differences.
Oh my gosh, it's major differences culture wise. Major. We're from opposite coast to where we live now and have lived now for a long time, and it's drastically different from how we grew up. It was a major adjustment living here.
Definitely. In terms of these numbers for kids, I think it's great. And I think that it's most likely related to nutritional changes.
I hope so.
I think it's most likely related to avoiding processed foods a little more. Being cognizant of what processed foods can do to the body. That's where I would put my bet.
I would hope so.
I mean, you're the veggie pusher. I'm sure you're having some influence.
Yes. It's all because of me.
Yeah. Let's take some credit for it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it. Mm-hmm. We've got another story today, and this one I find so interesting. I'm not sure if you heard of this before. Maybe a few years ago. Have you ever heard of second skin? Okay, and I'm not talking about. There's a company actually. Now that I say it out loud, there's a company called Second Skin that's like
condoms.
Is that what? Is it a company that makes condoms that's called Second Skin?
Well, there's a commercial.
Huh. Anyhow, MIT has...
I thought this is taking a weird turn.
This is taking a different turn.
I'm not comfortable with this turn.
Now that I say it out loud, I've heard this before. No. Second Skin is a new development out of MIT that is all over the internet the last couple days.
Okay.
And has multiple applications, one being for beauty, one being for skin health. What it is, it's a certain polymer, a certain material that they've developed. They've tested hundreds of polymers over the course of the years, and they've figured out this one material. It looks just like skin. It's very elastic, and you put it on your skin, and you can't see it, and it reduces wrinkles, tightens up the skin, reduces baggy under eyes, gets rid of any blemishes.
What do you mean?
Google it. I'm serious.
What do you mean, though? How long do you put it on there for? And who's putting it on there for you?
Well, you'll be putting it on yourself when it comes out. Someone will be.
You put it on for a certain amount of time, then you take it off?
Well, the details aren't out yet. But when you take it off, they're saying...
So far, it sounds like a mask.
No, but you can't see it. It's going
to be very different. So now people are going to be walking around with a mask on.
People are going to be walking around with a mask on, and you won't know.
You don't know the details.
That's the truth.
But you're saying it reduces wrinkles and all these things. Does it reduce it because you're wearing a mask, or is it actually helping your skin?
It reduces the appearances. So there's two mechanisms here. One is that when you're wearing it, you can't see any wrinkles because it tightens them. You just put it on, and it sucks them in.
Oh my god.
Okay? The second thing is It's going to be, there's going to be a drug delivery mechanism built in. So basically people can use this second skin for drug delivery, so patches and things. But also what they're finding is if you wear it for a certain amount of time, there is some leftover benefits when you take it off for wrinkles, for blemishes, for these types of things. I'm telling you, I'll put the link in the show notes. It's going to be very interesting.
I have to investigate this.
You're going to want to look it up. It's called Second Skin. I don't know. I don't know what people are going to do with it, but it's going to be coming out and everyone's going to know about it very shortly.
Oh, I don't know.
I know. It's a huge development and they're very excited. I mean, they're excited because there's lots of medical applications for it.
Well, yeah.
For people who have, who have had to have plastic surgery because of accidents and things like that. Burn victims. Just many, many different reasons, and it seems like it's going to be very beneficial in many different circumstances. So that'll be interesting. But obviously, the beauty industry is going to jump on and try and use it as much as
Vanity
they can.
will push it.
Oh yeah, of course they will. Oh, they have to make money too. MIT is going to try and sell this thing.
Oh yeah.
But people are loving it so far, and the pictures I've seen. I mean, I'll put the link in the show notes to what the pictures I've seen have been. And it's basically like people who are suffering with really bad bags under their eyes or dark circles. And then they put this on, and they do before and afters, of course. You can't tell that they're wearing it, but the circles are completely gone.
Yeah, but it's like you have to wear a mask.
Yeah, but it's second skin.
Oh, I don't know. That's just weird.
It's totally weird. But they're saying that there is benefits when you take it off, too. So, I don't know. We shall see.
We shall see. I have to look this up.
Another one of the vanity industry's developments.
That's weird, Dave.
It is weird. It is weird. So we know now that if you're taking acetaminophen, you gotta watch out for... Like, I feel like there should be some sort of... This study should bring some consciousness to light around taking medications and how you respond to others and how you feel about others.
You hear that sentence, it just came out of your mouth, though. Drug companies aren't into empathy, compassion.
No, but I mean, like, there's certain people who have to take the drug every day, or else they can't function because they haven't had... Like, I've got some patients who we haven't had success with the natural products and with the herbs. They don't do as well of a job.
Right.
Now, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, NSAIDs, these guys can have negative consequences on the digestive tract and on the liver. So they're not meant to be taken every day.
But wouldn't the catch-22 be, like, you tell someone, like, you may have a lack of compassion, but they don't care because they're on the drugs? So wouldn't that just be a loop of, like, they can't feel it, so they can't recognize it, so they don't care that you're saying that?
Yeah, I don't know that it'll work like that.
Yeah.
I think it's more like, in your personal relationships, when you're communicating with others...
Like when people go for Botox and they're like, when you get Botox, they tell you may have to communicate that you're upset or angry because...
Right. Because you won't be able to show it in your face.
Because you physically can't show it, so you may have to say, I am angry now.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. In this situation, I think it'll be helpful to say, like, in your communications, you may not take other people's pain or suffering as seriously as you once would.
Yeah, I guess I'm just thinking about people I know that have a lack of compassion, and saying that to them would do no good.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult. This is the thing about counseling. This is the thing about talk therapy. This is the thing about trying to communicate with someone about how they're being in the world.
Yeah.
Sometimes it just, nothing gets through, and that's okay. It's that they have to learn on their own in order to make positive change, if they're even interested in positive change. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. How do you get someone interested in positive change that can't feel?
You don't.
Usually, like, you'd be driven to change by feeling the empathy or compassion for another person. But if you're numb to it, what would drive you to...
Yeah. You don't get someone to change. You present them the details of what could potentially be happening and why it might be beneficial to consider another way. And then they either accept or deny. That's usually how it goes.
Right.
But in this case, and I'm interested in antidepressants.
Yeah.
I'm interested in how they might be changing our emotional response to things. We know that for 1/3 of the people who take them, they can feel very good inside. They feel great. But does that mean that they're still responding in the same way they might empathy-wise?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like, now we have to evaluate a lot of medications here.
Yeah, I know.
I mean...
It's really tricky.
I mean, especially the medications that are used so much, like thyroid medication, antidepressant medication. This painkillers are used a lot. We did some shows recently about first generation antihistamines and what they do to the brain. If you didn't hear that show, first generation antihistamines were found to cause dementia in the elderly, or at least be correlated with significant correlation. And you know, what are they doing emotionally? We don't have a lot of this emotional information. I'm really interested in it because I think it's so important. It's important to know, especially if we're going to be taking a drug every single day, once a day.
And there's so many drugs that you can just go purchase and take and are taken, so it makes it feel like it's light. It makes it feel like there's no negative consequence. It's so really, when would you ever really talk to someone? Like, maybe, I mean, a lot of people don't do a yearly physical, but maybe some go in and then they say, well, I do take Tylenol. I mean, who's really accounting for that stuff?
Yeah, and I wonder too about people who are in counseling, who are either seeing a psychologist or psychiatrist. A lot of the times they don't disclose that they're taking Tylenol so frequently. And that will change the therapy.
I think that's really common because Tylenol has become, for a lot of people, they're numb to it. It's just...
Oh, yeah. I mean, my gosh, it's a really good point. When you're going into the drugstore, you think, okay, if it's on the shelf here, it's perfectly safe. Who knows? It could be changing the way I respond to other people's pain. That's crazy. That sucks. Anyway, something to consider, and something that I'll be taking into my practice and talking about and using people. That's Healthy Rebel Radio for today. Thank you so much for listening, and have a great day.
See you.
Healthy Rebel Radio is presented by the online health and wellness center, DamieHealth.com. Since 2009, Amy Lane has successfully coached thousands of women through her signature program, the Bikini Body Program. Join today to work exclusively with Amy to unveil your greatest yet to be from the inside out. Go to DamieHealth.com for more information.
Thank you for listening to Healthy Rebel Radio. Please connect with us on our community pages on Facebook, Pinterest, and Instagram, all at the handle @DamieHealth. For weekly recipes, articles, and all our episodes straight to your inbox, join our newsletter at DamieHealth.com. You can find all the links discussed in today's episode in the show notes. Thank you for joining us, and see you tomorrow.